Hello, my name is Neil Callahan and I'm your instructor for EDU 144, Child Development 1, and this video is to help explain the Child Development Figures presentation project. Now, this particular project is an oral presentation that you will give in front of the class. This particular project is an individual oral presentation project, and it is typically due in December on the last night of class. This particular presentation will be worth 25% of your overall grade, so do not take this project lightly, otherwise you risk hurting your grade. Failure to present on the night the presentation is due will result in the grade of 0, no exceptions, and no late work will be accepted. So if you know you can't be there on the last night of class, you best make arrangements to give your presentation before then, because otherwise, if you don't make the presentation, you get a 0. No late work will be accepted. At the end of this attachment, you're going to see a list of, well, at the end of the instructions that I give you in class, and it's also online, you're going to see a list of child development figures. I may come up with some more depending on what size the class turns out to be. But each one of you on the first night of class will be assigned a child development figure to research, and that'll be your person that you're going to give a presentation on. Somebody will get Erik Erikson, somebody will get Jean Piaget, somebody will get Sigmund Freud, and so forth. So each person will be assigned a child development figure on the first night of class. You take your assigned figure, and what I want you to do is prepare a classroom presentation based on the instructions that I give you in the instruction document. And you're going to need to do research on this individual, this child development figure. You can use any of the college's resources, the internet, books, whatever. Even, if you want to get up with the person, and do an interview with them. Most of them are dead, but a few of them are alive. Albert Bandura is still alive, so if you're lucky enough to get him as a topic, then you can call California and talk to the man. He's still alive, but the rest of them typically are dead. You'll need to prepare your presentation either using a PowerPoint or a Prezi. A Prezi is just another way to do a PowerPoint type thing. It's just a new way to do it. Some people like it. If you don't want to do a Prezi, then do a PowerPoint. PowerPoint is pretty straightforward and simple. So your presentation must be presented to the class using a PowerPoint or a Prezi. And this PowerPoint or Prezi must be submitted to me through Moodle before the beginning of class on that last night. Failure to do so will result in a bad grade. Let's say anywhere from a 50 or below. So be sure to turn in the Prezi or the PowerPoint part of your presentation before the last night of class so I can see it. That way I know you have it and I have a copy of it. Alright, here are the presentation guidelines. You're going to need to gather basic information about your child development figure. I want you to gather information about their life, for example. I want you to give me a brief perspective of who they were and what their life was like. So a brief, but not too much on the information. I don't want 15 pages of Albert Bandura's life story. So when it comes to the part about their life, brief but enough to get a feel for who the person was. I would say in your presentation, no more than 3 or 4 slides devoted to information about their life, like they were born and their mama was and they went to school here. No more than 3 or 4 slides of that stuff. Next, I want information about their contribution to the field of child development. In other words, I want you to tell me what they did that was so important in the field of child development. Now, this information will make up the bulk of your presentation slides. So if you're doing Albert Bandura and you don't talk about his theory of social cognitive development or social learning theory, or if you don't talk about his bubble doll experiment or imitation or modeling or stuff like that, then I'm going to give you a bad grade, because that's the main thing the man did. And to miss that would mean you didn't do a very good presentation. So I want you to gather information about the child development figure's contribution to the field of child development. And this information is going to make up the bulk of your presentation slides. Definitely talk about their theory of child development, any key points that go along with it. You know, if you talk about Lev Vygotsky and don't talk about zone or proximal development, then that's not good. You need to talk about that. I also want you to have some slides that talk about how these ideas and these child development theories that you're talking about apply to everyday life when it comes to working with children. You know, you spend all this time researching Albert Bandura. How does this information benefit you in the work world, in the child development classroom, working with real children? You know, I mean, how does it benefit you? Share that in a few slides. At the end of your presentation, you're going to need a reference slide. If you're doing a paper, you would have the reference page or the bibliography. Well, in this PowerPoint or Prezi presentation, you're going to have a reference slide, your bibliography slide, that shows the source of information that you use to put your presentation together. Now, when you put together this reference or bibliography slide, I want you to use a proper format for that, MLA, APA, whatever. So when you're putting down your sources, list them in a proper format. If you use something off the internet, don't just give me some gobbledygook internet address as your reference. There's a proper way to write those up, whether it be MLA or APA or whatever format you learned in Mr. Miller's class. In your presentation, in your slide presentation, whether you do a Prezi or a PowerPoint, be sure to use pictures and illustrations as needed. It kind of jazzes up your presentation and makes it look a bit more livelier, and it just looks nice. You know, it shows you put some time and effort into it. Keep in mind when you do this presentation in front of the class, I will be timing it. I will have my stopwatch out. Basically, for a presentation like this, you should be able to give me 15 minutes of information easy. If you've prepared properly, you should be able to talk about Albert Bandura for 15 minutes. That's not very long at all. If you get up there and talk for 2 or 3 minutes, then that tells me you haven't done a whole lot of preparation on this project, and you'll get a grade that's that goes along with that. So, shoot for a, 15 minutes worth of presentation, because I will be timing it. Any presentations that are grossly below the 15-minute window that I'm looking for, I'm going to penalize. Well, what if I, do a 12-minute presentation? I'm not going to be that nitpicky, but if you get up there and give me a 5-minute one, yeah, I'm going to be kind of nitpicky. So just be mindful. I'm looking for around 15 minutes worth of presentation. And oh, by the way, do not go over 30 minutes. If you go over 30 minutes, I will ask you to cut the show short. So nothing over 30 minutes. In order to get a good grade on this presentation, you need to have more than 10 or so slides. You need to have a good sized presentation. Based on what I've explained to you, you should have well over 10 slides, at least double that. This kind of presentation, seeing it's worth 25% of your grade, requires time and research. And it cannot be done correctly, and it cannot be done well at the last minute thrown together. So keep that in mind as you schedule your time. Schedule your time wisely. Be sure to use correct grammar. Spell check your presentation. After the presentation's over, as I grade it, if I find typos in your Prezi or PowerPoint presentation, I'll take off for that, because it's a college course. So proofread, spell check, all that nice stuff. Keep in mind that meeting the bare minimum of the presentation requirements may not get you the grades you desire. So go above and beyond. Show me you put some work in this presentation, and you will be rewarded. The best presentations are the ones that the people put together over time and prepared well. And they had no problem standing up there for 10, 15 minutes talking about Albert Bandura if they prepared well. If they didn't prepare well, it's not going to go well. If you have any questions about this project, feel free to contact me. You have my phone numbers, you have my email address, and I'll be happy to explain anything about the project. I look forward to seeing your project in December. Thank you.